Good afternoon, PittNUG members. We're continuing our PittNUG webinar series. Today's topic is PCI Compliant Payment Processing Solution for NetSuite. And today's presenter is Matt Rogers of Century Business Solutions. And Matt, go ahead and start your presentation. I do appreciate you taking the time to do this for us. So. Matt, you there?
I am, sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
mute failure.
I understand. Failure. I've done it before too.
Too many times. Times. So thank you very much again. Thank you everybody for attending and having us. It's great to be here virtually. Today we're going to be talking about our payment processing solution for NetSuite, and then we're also going to go over some PCI compliant stuff and what it means to be compliant, how you can get there and what the different versions are, and all that fun stuff. Okay. So I work for a company named Century Business Solutions. I've been here for about 8 years as a senior business relationship manager. So we're going to quickly talk about, again, us as a company and then get to the actual product itself. So about Century Business Solutions, and again, we're going to be showing you our product, EBizCharge. We've been doing this for about 16 years now. We were founded and are still owned wholly by a husband and wife back in 2004. Currently today, we process over $6 billion every year. That number is growing constantly. We have about 30,000 customers, and we support over 100 different software integrations. Obviously today, we're going to be talking about NetSuite specifically. But one of the things that has made us and continues to make us successful over the years is our kind of control of this whole process. We're unique in that we are a credit card processing company, a payment processing company. And what we have done is we have gone out and we've hired our own support team, our technical team, our development team, which is all located in our Southern California office. About 95% of our employees are here in Southern California, where I'm actually at right now. The other 5% are some partner and sales type reps, but all of our support and development team are located here. And so we manage, maintain, develop, support, customize all of our own products. We are the credit card processing company. We are the payment gateway. We are the development team. And we also support our own solution, right? So we kind of go behind this one throat to choke idea. In the traditional integrated payment space, there's 3 or 4 vendors that kind of need to be used and pieced together to make the overall goal happen. And we are really able to accomplish that in just being one single vendor. So from a support standpoint, it's very advantageous, and from a cost standpoint, it's actually very advantageous. This style has kind of been mentioned in Forbes and Entrepreneur magazine. We've been featured in some different publications. Won a bunch of awards in our own industry for credit card processing, but not just in those credit card processing spaces, but also in software spaces. We've got great ratings on G2 Crowd and Capterra. We've been growing very quickly, even in during the pandemic. We've reached a record high in terms of volume processed, and primarily because of the pandemic and people not going out and not doing the cash exchange thing and doing more credit card stuff. So we are continuing to grow and really doing very, very well. So again, today we're going to be talking about our product, EBizCharge. So EBizCharge is a payment integration for NetSuite. So it's a bundle to customization that we publish and add that enables you to be able to accept credit card payments directly inside of NetSuite. And when you do it that way, when you accept the payment directly inside of NetSuite, it automates the payment application process. So whether you're on an order or you're on an invoice, or you're taking a prepayment, or whatever you're doing, you can process the payment directly inside of NetSuite, and it will automatically apply the payment for you to that order, to that invoice, bypassing the step of having to leave the program, run the payment externally, and then manually apply that payment yourself, right, and having to do that kind of manual reconciliation, manual work, right? So it streamlines that process. Along the way, throughout the years, we've we've added more and more features to these integrations. One actually being our payment portal, which you're seeing a screenshot of here in the bottom right. So as another feature to our system here, we have basically a website that we host for our customers that allow you as the user to upload your invoices from NetSuite to the portal so that your customers can log in and kind of have a self-service portal. They can go on there, they can view their invoices that they owe on. There's automatic email notifications and reminders that can remind people when their invoices are due or when they're past due and kind of urge them to pay. And that is payment from actually credit card or ACH, electronic check. So it's a great self-service tool, great collections tool to, put that in the hands of your customers, right? A lot of us in our consumer lives are very used to this, whether it's our cell phone bill or our medical bills or whatever, right? Our cable bill, we're used to having auto pay or going online and making a payment and taking care of things, right? But in the B2B world, it's not super, super popular. So we give our customers that use our solution, an option to do that. So that you're, again, making it as easy as possible to collect payments and you're getting paid as quickly and as fast as you can. Everything is run through our payment gateway, again, our own proprietary payment gateway called EBizCharge. On a credit card processing note, we do have next-day funding options available. From a cost standpoint, our solution does do what's called level 2 and level 3 processing for those that are aware of what that is. For those that are not, it simply means that our solution passes all of the necessary data points along with your transactions to make sure that they are qualifying and receiving the absolute lowest rates that are available. So, typically we save customers between around 15 to upwards of 40% on their processing fees that use our solution because it has this data advantage, right? The credit card rates that you get or that you pay are directly related to the kinds of credit cards that you're accepting and the amount of information and the way those cards are being processed. So our system kind of automatically optimizes that for you and makes it so that you are paying literally as little as humanly possible for credit card payments. Now, on the security side of things, one of the fantastic portions of our system here is that it is 100% PCI compliant. The way that we store and transmit and process credit card data is through a tokenization platform, meaning once you enter credit card information into our system, it actually sends that info to our online gateway, which we host, and then we put back into NetSuite a reference coin that we refer to as a token. And that reference coin is what lives in NetSuite, and it's just kind of a representation of the actual credit card, so it jumbled numbers and strings of letters that tie back to the actual number in our gateway. So it gives you the ability to store and transmit credit card information in a safe way without actually having it on file yourself, or rather hosting it yourself and being responsible for it. So you're able to be completely PCI compliant and really never end up in the news for the wrong reason, at least as far as credit card processing is concerned. So it's a pretty big deal. So that's really again the overview of our solution. The next thing we're going to do here is talk about PCI compliance, specifically what it is, what it means, what are some good and some bad things about it, how to be PCI compliant, and where you kind of fall in that spectrum. So simply put, what is PCI? Why does it exist? So PCI stands for the payment card industry, and it exists because, as I'm sure many of you are aware, cyber fraud and people trying to do the wrong thing is ever so growing, especially in the internet age, the cyber age that we live in, right? So the PCI board council was born in an effort to put together different regulations and standards on how information is allowed to be stored and transmitted to be as safe as possible, right? And being PCI compliant gives you, insurance and breach coverage advantages and other kinds of protection. So obviously it's a great idea to be PCI compliant. Don't get me wrong, there are not PCI compliance police rolling around checking you out, making sure that you're good. They're really the only way to get in trouble and face these large fines and breach penalties that you're seeing on the bottom portion of my screen is if those things happen to you and you are found to not be compliant, then these fines certainly apply to you. And I'm sure all of you are aware of what happened with Target a few years back, or Marriott or Capital One, right? These very, very large institutions were hosting their own data, not doing it in a compliant manner, and had huge problems for all of us. I was actually one of the people who was contacted by Target, letting them know that my credit card was compromised. I obviously had to cut that card off and get a new one. But you can see here the kinds of losses that these companies suffered. Now, I don't know about you all, but our company, who's doing very well, certainly couldn't afford a $292 million lawsuit like Target could, and many businesses can't, right? So we can't really afford to do it the wrong way and compromise ourselves in those ways, such as some of these larger ones have. Many businesses are not compliant, simply out of usually just either negligence or just not knowing how to be or what have you, as opposed to purposely not doing it or not being able to do it. So what does it take to become PCI compliant? Right, all of you who are processing payments today should be having some kind of an annual survey that you get that you should be filling out. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's very, very long, and sometimes it's difficult to fill out because it's very techy. You need kind of an IT background sometimes to even understand it. But you fill out this survey, this questionnaire, to be able to determine what kind or what type of PCI compliant you need to be based on the way that you do business and the way that you obtain information and all that stuff. In addition to having that survey done, your network, your internal network, will be scanned a few different times a year to make sure there are no holes, make sure other people, other outside IPs cannot, illegally access your system, to make sure that, again, everything is wrapped up in accordance. And our final kind of note here on compliance before we wrap this up, you should be able to see on my screen. I know it may be a little bit small, but these are all the different PCI SAQ. Again, SAQ stands for Self-Assessment Questionnaire. These are all the different types of different compliance things you can be, right? A all the way through the P2PE. Now, generally, people that are using NetSuite aren't your typical retail stores doing the swiping card thing. Most people that are using NetSuite, for the most part, are doing the card not present keyed entry thing, right? And PCI compliance is all about how you transmit data and how you store data. Meaning, are you storing it locally? Are you transmitting it yourself as opposed to coming in from a customer, right? And all these different SAQs kind of address that. SAQ-A is sort of the holy grail of PCI compliance. SAQ-A means that you nor transmit data nor store it, right? So on the storing side, right, you'd be using a solution like ours that utilizes tokenization and doesn't actually store the data on your network, or you just simply don't store it at all. And on the transmission side, transmission meaning you are never hearing it, you're never receiving it, so you're not getting it over the phone, you're not getting it in emails, you're not getting it in fax, you're not having it presented to you in person, right? So these customers that are potentially paying with you would be paying through some kind of an email pay technology or something, a solution like our payment portal, right? So again, SAQ-A would be for someone who, which is the best that could be, right, is literally zero transmission and zero storage. Now for those, that's not always possible for everybody, right? It's not always possible to force the customer to initiate the transaction on their own. When a customer is calling and they need to pay the bill, typically you're not going to turn them around and say, hold on, no, don't do that, go here, right? You're going to take that payment and take that money. And that's the majority of people. And the majority of people, again, that are using a solution like ours that does the tokenization piece and keeps you compliant, they fall in the SAQ-C category. So the SAQ-C category simply says that you do handle the transmission, meaning you do get it over the phone or via fax or however you're getting it. But you're storing in a PCI compliant manner. You're not actually storing the data locally. It's being either not stored at all or it's being stored off-site. That is where kind of most companies strive to be is that C, because they can't get to A because of their business model or the way that they do things with their current customers now. What you don't want to be, and what most people are, is SAQ-D. Right? SAQ-D, for those of you that have actually done the survey before, is like an 80-page questionnaire that is huge and very difficult to do. And that's for people who do store data locally and do handle the transmission of things. If you're in that D category, there's a lot more requirements and stipulations for you to become compliant and get that certification, that stamp of approval, or attestation of compliance, as it's called in AOC. That is where most people are today, if they're even compliant at all. Again, earlier there was a statistic on my screen that said 80% of businesses are not compliant. So anyway, by utilizing solutions like ours, you can significantly increase your own security and your own scope of liability, and really make it much easier to become compliant. And again, stay out of the news for the wrong reasons. So thank you very much. That's pretty much all I have for everybody. I think we can open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions about our solution itself, or credit card processing, or compliance, or anything along those lines, I'm really happy to answer anything.
Thanks, Matt. We appreciate that. Anybody have a question for Matt, or want to know something that he can explain? Okay. Looks like you did such a great job. No one has a question.
Speechless. It's great.
You answered everything. So, yeah, thanks again, Matt. And know that we will post the presentation on our website. And for any of the PittNUG members, if you are interested in learning more, seeing a demo, whatever, reach out to me and we'll get you connected. And then Matt, if you would send me your presentation so I could go ahead and send it to any of all the rest of our members that, they were not able to attend, or, for whatever reason aren't able to be on the meeting, I would appreciate it.